Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the account-wide essences post that came in today from Blizzard. Mr. Kyvax posted this, letting us know that at next reset, there's going to be no testing of this. It's not going to be in the PTR. It's literally coming next reset. They're going to be making change to the essence system. Some pros and cons to the system, and many questions that we're waiting to have answered on this one. I think the first thing we should say is they're not technically account-wide. It's an alternative grind. That's what it actually is, an alternative path to acquire the essences. Now, what they're going to be doing is introducing a new currency that you earn just by playing 8.3. So that bit I'm actually fine with. I'm totally fine with how they've made the acquisition of this currency. You will get it, according to their post, by doing things like Horrific Visions, Assaults, Raid Bosses, Mythic Keystones, or BFA Season 4 PvP. All things that you would want an alt for. Those are all the things that you would do in the game in order to play an alt. And by doing those things, you will earn this new currency. Now, one thing we should point out here is it's soulbound. I'll come back to that. And then you can go to Mother, and you can purchase essences as long as you've earned them from another character. All right? So there was some people who were a little confused on the wording here, and it's not entirely unambiguous. So it says here, while ordinarily each specific essence must be learned in order to unlock it for other characters via Mother, which means you have to have acquired the essence, you have to have purchased it and then learnt it, all essences associated with Nazjatar and Mechagon reputations will be available if any other different character has earned any of these essences available from that reputation. Now, they mentioned Nazjatar and Mechagon specifically. However, there are definitely some essences which you can't buy or learn on certain classes because the roles for those essences don't exist. So if you're a pure DPSer, there are some healing and tanking ones you just can't pick up because your character could never use them, so they're just you don't have them. So it's simple as that. Now, are they going to be included? Don't know. Really don't know. Now, I did mention there, you can only use this grind, this alternative path, which I'm fine with, by the way. Again, to be clear, I'm fine with the acquisition of these things. Proviso, providing. As long as you've already earned the rank, the essences on a different character. So as long as you've already met the requirements, you should be fine. So I'm kind of hoping that all essences are available. So if you, let's say you are playing a rogue, and therefore you only have access to plain DPS essences, that if your alt is a druid that can tank and heal, then you can just buy everything. As long as you've met all the requirements for the essences, you should be fine. Now, the first question, of course, is how much? How much? This is important. How long does it take to buy an essence? This is going to be a big deal. Does certain content give more than others? How is this going to work? Who gets to get them the best way? Does it take me 3 weeks to get one essence? Or does it take me 2 days to get one essence? We don't know. We have no idea. And you've got to remember, for a lot of people, out of the 4 essence slots we have, only one of them is a new spell. The rest of the stuff is just flat passive bonuses for the most part, or flat proc random damage that you can't do anything with. So they're literally just flat passives. Not entirely tempting, but there's stuff that other characters have which you simply don't have. Some characters will have significantly more haste than you, more crit than you, more versatility than you, simply because they have an essence equipped, even though they're not doing anything with it. It just sits there providing all these extra bonuses. So we need to be bearing that in mind. I said they're soulbound. It's not account-wide. Why? Why is this not an account-wide resource? If we look at my druid, my main druid has every rank 3 essence in the game. I'm lucky that I was playing a druid. Should the thing we mentioned earlier with the spec rolls across everything not being agnostic, so I should be fine. The only one I'm missing is Ripple in Space. Everything else I have. So my druid then is going to be playing content, farming raids, doing things like that, and acquiring this currency, I would imagine. Yet I can't use it for anything. I can't send this to alts in order to purchase things. Why can't I do that? Now, that seems a bit silly to me. For characters like mine, this entire system is just going to arbitrarily just keep piling a currency into my currency tab, and I can't use it for anything. That feels a bit crappy. Can I not turn them into similar to what we do with resources, where I could purchase something that I could send to alts? So I can actually make some use of this currency I'm earning while playing the game. I mean, I know it's a first world problem, but I think it's fair to say there'll be plenty of characters out there who are going to be in the same boat. It's like, well, on my main, I have thousands of this thing, and I really want it on another character, but I obviously only want to play my ult minimally compared to my main character, so Can't we work it that way? Again, this is a non-issue if they're relatively easy to buy essences. That's fine. Then it's not a big issue at all. I'm just making the point now before we end up in that situation that might be a thing. So how much, how long, and why is it soulbound? That would be a big question I would raise at this point. The next other point then is this system's like fine for players like me. As somebody who has all the rank 3s already, then I'm fine. But there's every time that gets worse and worse, it gets considerably worse for each player. For example, if you're a player who only focused on getting the essences he needed, then there's going to be a huge chunk of essences you don't have. Now, and if you want to play an alt, there's a very high chance that those are the essences those characters need. Therefore, you're going to have to do the grind again. This thing only applies if you've already obtained the essences. Based on this post, you have to have already obtained them. So if you haven't done them at all, you're not going to be able to buy anything with them. You're not going to be able to buy the bonds you want. You're still going to have to go and do the original grind, which then leads us all the way from players like me to returning players. You might recall pre-8.3, we did a video talking about the problem of account-wide essences. Account-wide essences are only good if you've already got them. But a lot of players left because they didn't want to do any of them. And they had a fair argument. Whereas I found it personally okay to delve a little bit into PvP, to do things that I hadn't done for a long time, just for grabbing an essence and then being done with it. I went through the experience of having fun with it. It was pretty fresh for me to do that, but then also remembering why I didn't enjoy this content in the first place, and then finishing it out to get the rank 3, and then not going back to it. So Battlegrounds and Arena, I haven't gone back to since I got the essence. I did it, fine, I'm done with it, I left it there. But even I found it very tedious towards the end, even though it was something I needed for raiding. There are going to be many players out there who absolutely do not have that level of commitment because, you know, obviously I have a relatively high level of commitment to my guild and to the goals it's been set, who just said no. And we saw plenty of players who were like, I'm absolutely not going to grind 30,000 or 50,000 honor in a battleground. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to grind several weeks of arena in order to get conflict and strife. I'm absolutely not doing that, and they just didn't. This system doesn't help those guys at all. So I'm a little surprised as to why we've done this kind of half-hearted approach to this system. They say in the post, our goal with this update is to preserve the efforts that players put into unlocking a given essence through the associated activity the first time, while offering subsequent characters far more flexibility in pursuing that goal. We'll have additional details in a forthcoming hotfix update. Now, I'm speaking for myself here, but honestly, and this is my feeling on this while reading this, is who really gives a fuck at this point? Now, the answer to that is a few players apparently really do like have this mentality, which is I went through something horrible, which would be like the original grind, which I didn't want to do. Therefore, everybody should have to go through it. And it's unfair to me if people later down the line, despite them having the benefit of having that essence, which usually is like, if we took a blow of the enemy, it's like a passive crit bonus, for several months, that it's unfair that people who come back to the game should be able to get it in an easier way. And that blows my mind, considering the entire gear of the game. I mean, if we look at it from a Mythic Raider standpoint where I am, and maybe I do have a unique position here, is that every single tier of BFA, I've had the best gear in the game, and then from one day to the next, it's gone to being, that best gear has become available from world quests. That's happened to me multiple times throughout this expansion, where I've had the absolute best gear in the game from the hardest content possible, and the next day it's available from world quests. Is it not better that we just get, considering every single piece of content is now available in BFA? There's nothing else. It's done. All Wings of LFR are out. Raids are all out. Everything is currently available in the game. It's all out and done. We're now on the countdown to Shadowlands. That's where we are. There's nothing new coming from BFA. It's done. Is it not okay that we just make essences purchasable from Mother? Is that really that big of a deal? Because for me, absolutely is not. I would rather have more players in the game. I am totally fine with the currency coming from doing normal content, on the assumption that it's not a massive grind. Like, hopefully it's, what would I expect? I mean, it'd be nice if you could get an essence every couple of days or something like that, just so get them out of the way. But given that they're not making them, say, bind on account, so we can't send them between alts, I have a sneaking suspicion it might be 1 to 2 weeks per essence, something like that, which is going to annoy a lot of people, because you're talking, at least if it is 1 to 2 weeks, you're talking like maybe 4 to 8 weeks to get the 4 essences minimum. And some characters use 5 or 6 essences, even in a single raid. Those people are going to be pissed because it's like still a month and a half of what, grinding? That's not fun. When I think of an alt, what do I think about? And I guess this is different for everybody, and this is where your head needs to be. When I think of an alt, certainly in World of Warcraft, I think about jumping on a character and just getting involved in some gearing. So if it was BFA, what I would like with my alt is that I've got this character, I grab some buddies, we go do some, who have also got alts or whatever, and we go and jump into some early Mythic Plus, we start getting some gear together, we're having some fun, and that's about it. And then it's maybe ready for raiding. And then we go and jump into some raids with our friends. That's about it. That's as hard as alts need to be as far as I'm concerned. It's just a character, we're capped, we've leveled. Now it's time to get some gear. But whereas essences are just a baseline extra requirement of the character, and let alone AP, you still need to grind some AP. Sure, it's pretty trivial, I'm not going to deny that. But you still need to get the AP to actually unlock the essence slots. So there's still that to do as well. It's not worth protecting, I guess is where I'm coming from. And I would say this to Blizzard. The essence grind and the AP grind aren't worth protecting. They're not particularly good in the first place. So protecting them for some reason feels odd. For me, just let them be purchasable from Mother. Let people play whatever they want. It's the end of the expansion. Like, who cares? At this point, honestly. Maybe it's a lot more people than I give it credit for. Would love to see your thoughts on this, guys. I will see you again. Bye-bye.